Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host Valerie, and sometime co-hosts Miss Purrington and Mookie. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. You can keep up with us on Twitter and Instagram at Comedy Wham or on our Comedy Wham Facebook page. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, our advice column, Rochelle Takes on Comedy, and we've also got a festivals page and an FPIA page where you can see all of the contest results over the 30-plus year history. And of course, we're best known for our events page for live shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW. If you're a comic in those cities and want your show featured on the calendar, go to the events page and click Submit a Show to complete the short survey. Tag us on your Instagram stories and posts, and we'll share your show promo. Looking for ways to support all these resources we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Search for Comedy Wham on Patreon and check out our subscriber perks. Now let's get back to our podcast. Launched in 2016, the Podcast Project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us. Whew. These are getting harder and harder to read in one breath, basically. All right, today I'm talking to the host of the long-running The Feedback podcast, which began as a nightlife coverage podcast and has evolved into a comedy scene coverage podcast. You can hear me on his podcast on episode 231 with the witty title of Revenge Driven. He is the producer and host of Record Play, former Hip Hop Bingo, you might have known it as, and it's a music trivia show. When he's not covering comedy, every once in a while you can actually catch him on stage performing comedy. And when he's not recording a podcast, producing record play, or performing, you can browse his Instagram feed from all of the comedy festivals around the country that he attends and gets pictures with all of these amazing comics. So now Comedy Wham presents our guest back.
How you doing?
Hi.
Thank you for having me. That was a long intro. You know what? I've been a guest on a bunch of podcasts, and nobody's done an intro like this. Wow, I'm impressed. You do your homework. I gotta give you props for that.
Yeah, I do. I scour the internet and piece together.
If you type my name, I don't know what comes up.
Yeah. You know? Well, I always start with the the feedback podcast, and then everything is there. You've got Linktree to your Record Play, and so.
Thank you.
And we sat together for, I have a tinge of regret about that revenge-driven title.
What, the title?
Yeah, but it's true.
That's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and it worked. Yeah. It worked. Look at you now. Still doing your thing. Wait, didn't you just have an anniversary?
We are coming up on 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. You and I are like head to head, just about. You've got you're at 280. You're
almost
close to 280.
I just recorded 277.
Yeah, and I think yours is going to be like in the 260s still, maybe close to 270. So yeah, we're like, it's crazy.
I love it. I love it. It's like the thing is, like, people go to shows, people go to whether it's comedy or they go out or a concert festival, and they just see like the final product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't really get to know the people behind the scenes or what it takes to put on something like that. And that's always what I wanted to capture. So I love it.
Yeah, I was motivated by the same thing. I'm like, I want to get to know you off stage.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's hard to talk to comics. Yeah. And they can't turn it off.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go into the way back machine, but first I have to ask you my icebreaker question, which is one word to describe your past.
Wow. Unique.
Yeah.
Unique. And proud of it. Very proud of it.
You, based on your website, so this is not this is public information. You didn't come to America until you were 16.
Yeah.
And you were born in Senegal.
Yes.
But spent a lot of time near Paris, France.
I grew up in next to Versailles, where the castle is.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and then I came here at 16 and had to start over. It's pretty, at 16, like if I had gotten here at age 8
Yeah.
Or 20 something, but 16 is a very critical age. And I'm like, God damn it, can I curse?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know. This could be a family show. I don't know, Valerie. I just want to make sure. No, but and I basically had to start over everything.
Yeah.
The language, the culture, the girls, everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah. What a intense age. You're all those teenager hormones and, I got to be popular or I got to fit in or I'm an outcast. All of that.
I didn't have time. To socialize, and I was like, all right, I got to study because I had to graduate from high school in 1 year.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I was in the IB program, International Baccalaureate program at Westwood High School, which takes 2 years to complete, and I had 1 year to do it. And I graduated with now I'm just bragging. I was the first in Texas to graduate with a bilingual IB diploma.
Really?
Yeah, and then went on to college, and then shit happens. You can get into that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me, growing up, then either early childhood or as a teenager, did comedy have a role in your life?
I mean, French comedy was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge, and there was I was a huge fan of these sketch comedy shows. I mean, they're called, if I translate, they're called The Unknowns. Les Inconnus. It's like this trio, and I was at the time I was in elementary school, and I would just do their sketches at recess.
Huh.
Like by heart. Like to this day, I know all their sketches. I have the DVDs and everything.
Oh, wow.
I know, and I would just do them. And they used to do parody songs and parody commercials, and to this day, they're the best that ever did it.
Oh, wow.
And then you had comics like Gad Elmaleh. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes, I love
who's the biggest comedian out of France, and a lot of the thing is over there, like their comedy is more like one man show, like stand up as in as we know it in this country.
Yeah.
Back then it was different in France. The whole idea of like doing open mics and being a stand up comic and like that whole format is fairly recent. But before, it was like, here's a dude on stage dressed in black. There's nothing on stage. Like, there's no props. There's no, like, decor or anything like that. And he's just doing a one-man show. And that's what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Loved it. To this day, now I watch more, trying to get to know who those new, French stand-up comics are.
So my story is different from yours, obviously, because I was born in Belgium, so French is my first language.
Yep.
But I came to the States when I was 7, so my vocabulary is that of a 7-year-old. I can have a conversation with you, and you'll never know that I'm, basically an elementary school dropout.
I'll bring my son next time and see it. He's on your level.
Yeah, exactly. But what that has meant for me is I followed the comedy scene, and I've also wanted to expand my horizons and listen to comedy from France so I can hear French comedy. I have a really difficult time keeping up.
It's a different type. I mean, take aside the cultural references, right? Take aside the slang that they use, because there's no, like, here when you think about the different the different types of comedy, where you can say there's like a black style of black comedy, there's a clean comedy, there's dirty comedy, there's setup, there's storytelling, and in France it's not as divided.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them do one-man shows that tend to lean more towards the storytelling, kind of like what John Leguizamo used to do, that kind of stuff, right? And that was what I grew up on. But the thing is, unless you, first of all, they speak very fast. So if you're so you have 7-year-old level.
That's why I like Gad, because he speaks more slowly with his
Yes, he does.
shows.
He does.
And so I could absorb it.
And Gad, I mean, they call him the French Jerry Seinfeld, because he makes these like mundane observations and then just stretches the whole joke about it, and it's always on point. Just like I like Gad more than Seinfeld, because it resonates more with me. But I forgot where we were going with this.
they're faster.
Yeah,
and they're pacing.
And you're not gonna get the same rhythm. And if you're not used to the French rhythm, it's gonna be hard to catch on.
Yeah. So I'm
Maybe I can find some and recommend.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do try. And as expected, 10 minutes in, we're geeking out about comedy because we both love comedy so much. We're just kind of throwing a loop to folks because we're talking about French comedy. Okay, so growing up, you did watch comedy, and then you kind of followed a traditional route of, finishing high school, going to college, and it wasn't until... I don't know, if I think about my own timeline, it was 6-7 years ago you decided that you were going to start a podcast about the nightlife in Austin.
Yes, so
you were a party animal.
I wouldn't say that. I was a downtown rat. I will admit to that. I put some miles on that street, on downtown Austin. The whole idea was, and I think I talk about it on the website. It's that. When I came here, I didn't have time to meet anybody because I had to, catch up with my studies. And it's really when I turned 18, I was like, I love music. I love to dance. Where is it at? Well, it's downtown in the club, so that's where I'll go. And about 90% of the people that I've met that became close to were people I met downtown. And I used to go to bars and clubs, and I would sit there and then talk to the bartender, and we became friends, or talk to the DJ, or talk to the door guy. And it got to a point where I knew most of the people in the service industry in the city.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys got some crazy stories. I mean, people don't understand what it takes to be a bartender on 6th Street, what it takes to be a DJ, and have to deal with stupid song requests. And I'm like, you gotta tell that story somehow. So it was the blog first, where people can go on and write. And then in 2013, I started listening to podcasts in like 2008.
Okay.
Keith and the Girl was the big one I was listening to. And then I was like, it'll be easier for people to talk as opposed to write. And that's how I started it. Almost like 10 years ago. Yeah, December 2013.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've had an evolution over the course of that time.
As far as like going to comedy?
What you cover.
Yeah, so I was for 10 years. I used to go to Cap City like in 2002, 2003. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I remember seeing like Carlos Mencia right before Mano Mencia launched. I saw Louis C.K. there. I saw Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, wow.
The year that Elephant in the Room came out, I saw him at Cap City. And I was at Cap City all the time. And I would go to Paramount and see shows all the time. I got to see Richard Jeni. Now I'm just name dropping. I'm talking about like huge names that are not, that some of them are not with us anymore. But I was actually, I did my first open mic at Cap City in 2012.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And it was weird. And I remember I went with some friends. One of them was John Stringer.
Okay.
You know who John Stringer
I
is?
don't.
He was on now he tours the country. He does cruises and all that. Yeah,
okay.
very, very funny. Very funny dude. But we started together at that open mic, and he kept going, and I had a job. That's really what it came down to. But I'm like, I was so... I didn't know what to think when I got off. I was like, yeah, that was kind of fun, but like, I got to do this again? Shit. So... it's not until...
What was it that motivated you to even give it a try?
That day? In 2012?
Yeah.
It was just
Did
for
you
the hell of
decide
it.
that day?
Yeah, it was like, But it was like, why not? Because I was already a comedy nerd. Like, I was watching all the comedy specials. I had all the Dorsch Collin DVDs. I was a huge fan of Tough Crowd. And I was already a comedy nerd, and I'm like, it's not one of those like, oh, that's easy to do. I can. It wasn't like that. It was more of a, I know how I am in real life, and I wanted to see if that would match, that would translate on stage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm the funniest motherfucker around. No, but I can be funny, so I'm like, okay, let me give it a shot. And I prepared and everything, but I got off, and I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I'll just remain a fan for now. And so I started going to Moon Tower. I went the second year.
Okay.
And I haven't missed a single one since. And I got to meet all these comics, and they would tell me about their stuff, about their life, and I got close to a bunch of them. And in 2018, in 2018, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna enter the FPIA. 2019, I'm gonna enter FPIA, and I was a judge 2 years in a row. I was a judge at FPIA for 2 years in a row, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. And January I started, and I did 17 open mics, and I entered. But that the day I went up, I did okay. I think I did okay. But I had like Andrew Murphy was up the same day. There was some killers that definitely
and
deserved.
Murphy ended up winning in 19.
Yeah.
So
and I'm like,
whatever. Sorry.
I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm advancing, but it was one of those. It wasn't like a bucket list kind of thing. It was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool, and then I just kept going. So here I am.
So we have a lot of parallels in terms of, I mean, I didn't start going to Moon Tower until I started this podcast. So I'm definitely way behind you in terms of
this is my 10th year. Next year will be my 10th year.
That's amazing. And I did comedy for a bit too. And it's funny, like my motivation was very similar to yours. Like I loved so many comics in town, and I just thought, oh, I was watching a particular person, and the room was not having her set, even though I knew she was a fantastic comic. It was just the room was not receptive. And it wasn't that I thought, oh, I could have turned this room. I just thought, here's somebody who's persisting with their set. They know they have the confidence, and they're doing it, and it doesn't matter that the audience wasn't on their side. And I'm like, well, I've dealt with challenges. Maybe I think I have a story that I can write. So my motivation was very, weird.
I told when you feel like you have a story to tell, I think not that that's half the battle, but it's like now it's a matter of getting comfortable telling that story on stage, and that takes a while to develop.
Yes.
Like when you asked me earlier how I could describe my past, and I said unique, I always felt like, man, there's not two people with my background.
Yeah.
And so I always believe that I have something to share. I have some perspective to give to people on stage, off stage, because of how unique my background is. Like, there's not that many. Maybe there are, but whatever. At least here, African dude, grew up in France, lives in Texas. Speaks 3 languages. Is a father, has a tech job, and dances and loves video games and anime. So this is me in a nutshell. I'm trying to find my audience right now. It checks a bunch of boxes, and you're like, man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to think that. I want people to think that.
Yeah.
I need to know more about this dude, because most of the other people I meet are just, I'm from Houston and from Dallas, and that's it. And that's it. But I think everybody is unique in a certain way. It's a matter of tapping into what that is, right, and expressing it and conveying it to other people, so people are like, oh, yeah, that's Valerie. Like, there's no two of you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I always believe that.
Yeah. And I think that's why we love doing our podcast, because we love tapping into the unique elements of people.
Yeah, and if you're a giver by nature, which I know I am, and you love to give not your life, but to share a piece of yourself, what you believe in, what you enjoy, what you love, what you appreciate, what you're passionate about. It's always a good way to connect with people, I think, and we need that more than ever. So that's always been my creed, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I know we're gonna end back up on the podcast, but I want to know about the origin of Hip Hop Bingo, which is now
Record play?
Record play.
Okay.
Because that merges your two loves, music
Games, games, and comedy.
Yeah.
So the idea was, you know who Just Blaze is? The producer. So he's produced all kinds of songs for records for Jay-Z, and like he's up there, right? And he was in town at Empire, and he had like a 6-month kind of deal, like monthly party. He would just go and play his records, and then a friend of mine knew him, and we went to the first one, and we were like, okay, is he gonna do this 6 months in a row? Because that's kind of boring after a while, because you're just playing your records.
Yeah.
And we started thinking, how can we help him and make it more interactive and maybe turn into a game where people show up and then we play these musical things. So at least there's a component to it that's not just, hey, you're gonna play your best hits.
Yeah.
And the more we thought about it, the more we're like, we're keeping it for ourselves. Fuck that shit. No, we're doing this. And so I started Hip Hop Bingo in 2019.
Okay.
And at first it was like, hey, let's just play bingo, but instead of letters on your card, it's a bunch of artists. So it's like B, Missy Elliott, or G, Ja Rule, whatever. And we have different themes, different editions. We did Dirty South edition, Ladies edition, West Coast edition, and had a DJ, had an MC, and it was a good time. And I'm like, oh wow, people actually enjoy that kind of stuff. And recently I rebranded it because bingo is illegal in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, you're looking at me. There are bingo halls, but they have licenses.
Oh.
And the state of Texas defines gambling as any game where you win by chance. Bingo, poker, that's illegal. So bingo falls into that.
Oh.
And you could do it for charity, but you don't keep any of the money. It's not. There's a bunch of bingos going around, but the thing, it's more of an enforcement problem than you can't do it. So it was like, and also, I did 10 of them, and they were all hip hop related, and I'm like, I don't want to just do hip hop. So I want to do an R&B edition. I want to do Motown. I want to do rock. I want to do reggae. I want to do all kinds of other genres of music. So that's why I changed it to Record Play recently.
Okay. And you started in 2019, and how often were you doing the show? Because it sounds pretty labor intensive.
It was... we didn't really have a schedule. Maybe other month, maybe 3 months, depending on when I could do it.
Yeah.
And I put together the questions. I taught myself this piece of software, and I basically created a whole game where you had a bingo round and a challenge round. And challenge round could be anything from lip sync battle, dance battle, don't forget the lyrics kind of thing, or trivia. But people really liked it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just your grandma's bingo kind of thing.
Yeah. And then 2020 happened.
Yeah, and I tried to do it online, and it didn't work. It's not the same vibe.
Yeah,
you do it over Zoom, because the DJ and MC really make the party. Shout out to DJ K. Cali and Rudy Davino and Marissa, and Adam Protexter too. He was part of the crew early on. It's a different vibe, because
you got to feel the music in your bones.
Exactly, because it is a party. People really.
Yeah.
I just did a '90s pop edition a few weeks ago, and I was putting the questions together, and I was going back listening to Bop and Mambo Number 5 and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears. I'm like, I kind of miss this stuff. And then next thing you know, we're doing it at the show, and people are like up and dancing and just singing to NSYNC, and I'm like, okay, this is fun. This is fun.
How do you? Okay, this is something that I've been thinking about with this show I've been watching, and this is the nerd in me.
Go ahead.
How do you deal with the license of playing the music?
There is, so I didn't until I haven't had that problem, but I talked to a lawyer, and I got like contracts now that say, hey, you gotta have, as the venue, you gotta have the license to be able to play music. I'm not gonna try and buy
Got
one
it.
because then I gotta renew it. So it's like, hey, as part of the thing, you gotta have the license.
Okay.
That's really nerdy of you.
I know.
Really nerdy of you.
Well, when you tell me about the whole bingo thing and you understand the legalese, I'm like, I can ask him a legal question.
Oh
He's
yeah.
gonna know.
Oh yeah.
You do your
I
homework.
thought I thought about it too. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want to. That's why I changed the name too. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not huge.
Yeah.
But I don't want the scrutiny.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And even if it doesn't turn into a business, I love doing it.
Yeah.
And when I was doing feedback, when I launched the website, I was throwing events every 3 months. Different themes, different DJs,
Yeah.
different venues, fundraisers. And we used to have red carpet at our parties. We were the first to do it in Austin. Red carpet, backdrop, interview, and we'd ask people like, hey, what kind of drunk are you? Or what do you think about girls who walk barefoot at night because their feet hurt? Like that kind of stuff. And we would shoot it, do a little trailer, put it on YouTube. And then we'd cover events too, like South by Southwest, Fun Fest, rest in peace. So yeah,
Cool.
did a lot
Yeah.
in the city.
Well, it just seems like it's such a great concept, and one like I could imagine you being able to do it at a corporate event.
That's the goal, because
Yeah.
that's where the money is.
Yeah,
Selling
exactly.
tickets is it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm a one man band. Like I do it all.
Yeah.
Really. No, I don't want to say that. I got a designer. Shout out to Chris Tobar. But other than that, as far as like the marketing and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
one man shop. I do a lot.
Yeah. So you are also, another thing that we have in common is like you've got a full-time job.
Yes, I do.
You're a single parent.
Yes, I am.
And you've got this little side hustle thing going on.
Yes, I do.
So do you have...
When do I sleep? Is that the next question?
Sure.
I don't. I haven't slept in 72 hours.
Well, you know JT Habersat, and his personality and his genetics is so driven, and like he can multitask, and he just he's a workhorse. And some people are just built like that, where they can't sit idle.
Can't stop, don't stop. But I do. I make the time to do the things I enjoy.
Yeah.
That's my survival,
Yeah.
coping mechanism. Because I know people who work like crazy to where they don't sleep. They're always on phone calls. They don't even enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I still find time to like, I'll go out and, DJ, whatever is playing, I'll go check him out. Oh, there's a comedy show. I'm not even on it, but I'll go and support and check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe once a month, I'll find something, a party to go and dance my ass off like I used to, and try not to break a hip and stay away from these 20-year-olds. But yeah, like that's what keeps me sane. But yeah, my bandwidth is pretty tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think this is a good intermission point because we're going to get into some comedy, even more comedy nerdism
All right.
afterwards. But so we've got this card game. Where should we begin? From my friend Richard, who runs our website. And it's open-ended questions. You're going to pick a card, and I'm going to read it to you, and you're going to answer the question.
Okay.
And then you'll do the same for the card that's left.
Okay.
So pick your card. All right. Ooh, I felt incredibly jealous when...
What? I don't feel jealousy. It's not. I don't have a jealous bone. I felt pretty jealous. Wow. I don't want to give you dead air, but now I gotta think. Seriously. Actually, yes. And this is comedy related.
Okay.
But it's jealousy in the moment. And I think it happens to every comic, is when you realize that like you're not getting booked a lot, but you see other people who've been doing it less than you have getting booked.
Yeah.
And in the moment you feel that like, oh shit, like why not me kind of thing, right? But when you take a step back and think about it, my reaction is always, well, I mean, maybe not my time yet. Maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to be out there more. I need to be more visible, so people know. Oh yeah, Back is here. Oh, Back has been doing a bunch of mics, or Back's been hanging out with everybody. Because we just went over everything I'm doing, in my life right now, and I understand that, comedy is a young person's game, just like music or anything like that, but especially comedy, because it takes 10 years to build something. To find your voice like this. You've heard this before.
Yep.
And so I know where I'm at, and I approach it with a lot of humility, because I don't take anything for granted, for one. And two, I remain a fan first.
Yeah.
I'm not in my 20s, obviously, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you talk to comics that are like in their 20s, and I live out of my car, or, I'll drive all the way to Oklahoma for a show, and I'm like, God damn, I don't know if I can pull that off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in a way, it's the jealousy is more like an in the moment thing, but also, fuck, maybe I should have kept going back in 2012. And it tells you to regret a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I look at John. John's killing it, and he tells me, is like, yo, man, I hope we can do a show together one day. And when I come back to Austin, let's meet up and all that. And I'm like, in a way, you envy that, but you got to be realistic.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wait, hold on. I have a lot of irons in the fire, including a human being. And so priorities change, and that's fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. No, you did, and I definitely relate to all of that. You get the twinge of guilt. I watch who you have on your podcast, and I watch who Tracy Schultz has on his shows, because he and I can nerd out about comedy too. And every once in a while, you'll have a guest, and I'll be like, I wish I had that person as a guest. And then I realize, yeah, but circumstances are different. The way you approach asking somebody to be on the podcast is different between Tracy, yourself, and myself, and we have a million things in the fire that, sometimes I'm going to get a win, sometimes you're going to get a win, sometimes Tracy's going to get a win, and it's all okay, because we have good lives.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't even think about it as competition at all.
Yeah.
I like we were saying earlier, I think everybody has a story to tell, everybody has a voice to express, and go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. I don't like it when egos get in the way.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot in any scene, really, comedy scene, music scene, it's art scene. It's gonna happen, but comedy scene especially, when people just like let the ego get in the way, and it ruins everything.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to get to know people on an individual basis, and be like, okay, you're that guy, cool. Now I know how to deal with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Good or bad, but now I know how to deal with you. And alternate, you're not a representative.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to crack that shell, because not everybody has the capacity to bring it out of them, but it's not always upfront. You know what I mean? So I like to get to know people that way.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a long story long answer.
Yeah. No, it's good. Okay.
All right, your turn.
My turn.
Alors, something I grew up thinking was normal, but later found out wasn't.
Oh, gosh. Oh, this one's easy. This still happens all the time. So my mother, born in Belgium, came to the States when she was in her early 30s. And I have just naturally grown up with hearing this woman in her accent when she speaks English, and thinking it's completely normal. I completely understand it. And it's not until I get a reality check from somebody else that listens to her, and they say, do you know your mom has a really thick German accent? And I'm like, what? That's just Mom.
Did you speak German?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little introduction so you can hear her.
Yeah, please. Please, I want to hear your mom talk.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah.
No, you're totally off. This is not what she sounds like.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my thing, I think. I mean, Dad was an alcoholic. That wasn't normal.
Oh, okay, you're just going to say that like it's nothing? You should have gone with that one first.
I know, but that one's not funny.
Oh, you can make it funny. You can make it funny. Look at you. You turned out fine.
Yeah, I know. Well, therapy, and he got dry, so that was good.
Keep going.
It worked out.
No, okay.
Keep going. This is my therapy session.
Yeah, I'm here to help. I'm here to tell me your story, Valerie. Please
We
share.
did that on your podcast. My story's about revenge.
Yeah, we're going to have a part 2. The return. Mission accomplished? No, I don't know. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's spend some time just nerding out about the comedy. And there was something that you said a moment ago that I'm like, the choices that you make you happy. You do these things because you really enjoy them. And anybody that looks at your Instagram feed or wherever you post your pictures, I mean, you're just so happy every time you do a photo dump of you going to a festival or attending shows, and you're the selfie guy.
Oh.
And I never like taking the pictures with these icons. And it's like, how do you do it? Because maybe I should become.
Like in terms of like meeting comics?
Well, yeah, and you get these great pictures with, these big names, and I'm like, I'd be so scared.
I can help with this.
How do you get the gumption? And were you always
I was always like that.
Okay.
I was always like that. I've been lucky to be around professional fill in the blank. DJ, like I was saying earlier, musicians, artists, and comedians. I think that when you meet somebody that you look up to, it don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
But it's all about how you approach them, right?
Yeah.
Especially comedians. Artists is a little tougher because they have their sometimes security or whatever, but comics, like they're there for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of them are most of them are pretty approachable. But if you approach them as a human being and not as a comic, it's so much easier. And I mean, I'm gonna name drop, but at Moon Tower, I've gotten to hang out with people like Dan Soder, Godfrey. I shared a meal with Mark Maron, like around the time WTF was just popping up. And I don't know, I've always had a knack for just meeting people, like connecting with people on an individual level.
Yeah.
And it's not a badge of honor. It's not I mean, I can sit here and tell you it's not hard and tell you, no, Valerie, get over your fears and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
But I think if you show love, people will show you love back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you don't meet people with an agenda. I think that's what it is. Because I don't expect anything from them. It's more of a, hey, nice to meet you. And if it ends there, it ends there.
Yeah.
But if it turns into a conversation, then hell yeah, I'll have a conversation. But the conversation will not be about me.
Yeah.
It will not be about what I'm doing. A lot of these comics that I've met, they probably didn't know I was a comic, and I didn't introduce me as such. I was just like, hey man, love your stuff, big fan. And next thing you know, I'm like, hey, can I buy you a drink, or how's your family, or blah blah blah. And next thing you know, I'm sitting at Creek in the Cave with Sean Patton until 4 a.m. talking about stuff.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's not rocket science. I think it's more of I don't have social anxiety, I guess.
Yeah.
Because because I got that question before. Like, I remember Mumford was like, "How do you get to hang out with Paul Verzi and you guys went to dinner?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just walked up to him and I said hi, and then we talk, and I had like, I think I had DM'd him and I said, "Hey, looking forward to see you in Austin," and left it at that. And I came to the show, and then he saw me and he was like, "Oh, back! I saw your DM." And next thing you know, he goes, "Hey, any place we can go and eat and smoke a cigar?" I'm like, "Sure, come on, I'll take you." And we walked down 6th Street, and we ended up at Alcyon.
Yeah.
So, it just don't go up with an agenda.
Yeah.
Even if it's I even feel bad asking for a selfie. I really do. I really do. Like the ones the last one was from Skankfest in Vegas.
Yeah.
But they were doing that everywhere. Every fan, because it's Skankfest is like a comedy fans like heaven.
Yeah.
Because it's for comedy fans by comics, and everywhere. I'm sure every comic that walked through the halls was getting stopped for a selfie, and I felt bad. I really did, because some of them I knew, but I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's content, but that's it. I'm not, keep it simple and don't come with an agenda. I've seen like comics come up, like I'm hanging out with like Sean Patton, and some comic walks up. He goes, "So how do you write? What's your process?" I'm like, "Really? That's your intro?
Yikes!
That's your intro?" And then Sean just stands there and doesn't say anything. It's like, "Oh well, just get on stage and be funny." And the guy's like, "Well, because I stare at a wall until something hits me," and I'm like, "That what makes you think that is the right approach?"
Yeah.
Like, to me that sounds weird. You know what I mean? But to him, it was like, "Oh yeah, I've someone I look up to, and I want to ask him for advice." Like, that's the natural thing, especially when you're both in the same industry and you're trying to make it. I get it, but no, you don't do that. Godfrey is a friend of mine, and we never talk comedy. Never. He'll ask me like, "How's your stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get on stage, trying to get better." And like, "Oh, hey, cool." And then talk about hip hop or whatever else. Because they're more than comics, and I think that when people look at them and like, "Oh yeah, he's a comedian," I'm like, "Nah, he's also a lot of other things. He has other passions and other things you can talk about." And that's a better way to introduce yourself than going, "So I'm trying this joke, and I try it with you."
Is there anyone that you can think of where you really had to pinch yourself that you were getting to have a conversation with them?
Godfrey was the first time, because I've followed all of his stuff, and like a full-on conversation. Yeah, because I met him at Moon Tower. They have the after hours thing, and then he came back to Austin, to Cap City, and at the time I worked at the radio station, at the R&B station.
Okay.
And one of my colleagues, her client was Cap City. And then that was the weekend that he was coming to town, and she brought him to the station. And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Like, damn. Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, I remember you from."
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just make your heart sing when they remember you?
Yes. No. I have a better one. So this is also a Moon Tower story. I was talking to Dan Soder. This is like 2017 or something like that. And I just went up and I was like, "Hey man, huge fan. I was a huge fan of, still am, of You Know What Dude by Robert Kelly." And that's how I found out about Luis J. Gomez and Dan Soder and Joe List and all those guys. And I asked him, I was like, "Is Luis really like that in real life?" He goes, yeah, he was really like that. He's really like that. And then we walk out of the Paramount, the 7F Austin, and they go, "Hey, you want to come to a strip club with us?"
Oh, God.
And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
See, that's a conversation a guy can have with a guy, but not Valerie.
And Oh, and Red Band was there too. And he goes, all right, well, we're going to split cars. And then these two girls standing next to me. And I'm going, okay, well, I guess I'm taking y'all. So we're on our way. And I turn around and they go, hey, do you have a podcast? Like, what do you? I'm like, yeah, I have a podcast. And I'm like, do you guys have one? And he goes, yeah, it's guys we fuck.
Oh my God, Christine.
And I said, wait. I'm like, wait, I'm driving on Mopac. And I'm like, wait, you're Christina and Corinne Fisher? And they go, yeah. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Oh my God.
And Christina turns, she goes, man, the look on your face back. I wish I would have recorded this because I didn't know what they looked like. I knew the podcast, but I didn't know what they looked like. And they were in my car, and we were driving to the Yellow Rose.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, wait, what? Priceless.
Oh my God.
Priceless.
That's incredible.
I couldn't believe it.
Wow. Is there anybody that, no, I don't want to name drop. What do I want to ask? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Really? Are we at that point? Are you done with your notes? Because I see a full page there.
Oh, I know. No, this is like, when the conversation's boring sometimes. I have my backup questions to remind me.
Have you watched any specials lately?
We actually just started watching the John Leguizamo special. It's my son's schedule. You're going to get there. My son's a junior in high school, so between all of his extracurriculars, we have very little time to watch TV together. So it's rare that we watch a special together. And when it's the end of my day and I want to just tune out and just watch mindless TV, I'm not going to watch a special.
But is it the history one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
But I think I'm a huge fan of Leguizamo, but this is the first special that my son has watched, and I think I made a mistake because I think I needed to have him watch one of his early specials.
Freak is great.
Yeah, so that he really understands who John is, and then he can appreciate this tamer version.
How old is your son?
16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can understand. Like I can't wait to show my son some comedy, even French one, because he's at a point now. He's bilingual already. He's fully bilingual. I only speak French to him, no matter who's around, even his mom. So we can talk shit.
My son does too. That's exactly the reason that I did it with him as
well. You just don't let up. It doesn't matter who's around. Like we'd be in a grocery store, I'd be like, Bakary, qu'est-ce que tu veux manger? C'est like, papa, je veux des céréales. Ok, on va prendre des céréales. Alors, vas-y, choisis la boîte. Elle est là en bas. Tu la mets dans le caddie et puis on y va. And people are like, wait, what? That black guy just speak French to this handsome little. Anyway, so because there's so much I want to show him, from the French comedy to American comedy, but I'm like, I can't wait. I can't even play the hip hop I like around him yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, how old is he?
He'll be 5 next month.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought he was older.
Nah,
okay.
Yeah,
so you do have to wait a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like itching, so I'm playing clean versions of songs, and I'm like, because here's what comedy does when you're learning a language. And it did it for me, because when I came at 16, my English was okay, because I spoke. You take English in France, but it's like, hey, there's a cat in the tree and Brian's in the kitchen, apple on the table. Nobody cares. You never get to use those. But with comedy, you really get to learn the nuances in the language, right? Because like for me, there was this online comedy radio station called Comedy 104 that was on Shoutcast Network, which is, remember Winamp back in the day? All right, I'm dating myself. It was MP3 player that everybody had, and they had a bunch of radio stations, and there was that one, and it was just a bunch of clips of comedy just back to back.
Yeah.
Barely any commercial. So there'll be a call-in bit right after a Louis Black, and then the CK and the GL Ugly, and I'm like, whoa, wow, and I was listening to it at work like every day, and between that and going to live shows, my English was getting better because I could I was learning all the wordplay in English and the nuances and how you can make a pun, which I hate puns, but it helps. That's what I'm saying. It helps.
Yeah.
And so for his development, like I can't wait to get to that point. I'd be like, all right, now here's Patrice O'Neill, and here's why that's funny.
Yeah.
And same with the French stuff.
Yeah.
So I really look forward to that.
Yeah.
But as far as like the last special I watched that I thought was brilliant was Robert Kelly Killbox.
Okay.
Oh no, Sean Patton #1.
I've been hearing buzz.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow. I saw it. I saw him do it live, and not everything made it to the special from what I saw. And he'll be here in February, by the way.
Okay.
And holy shit, talk about storytelling. That is, I think, the hardest form to do on stage, because you gotta have people's attention, and there's not really maybe there is a structure to it. It's like 2 sentences, punchline, 2 sentences, punchline. But it feels so effortless, and it tells it in such a compelling way that you can't help but connect, and then he just has you. It's like that. Ali Sadiq does the same thing. Sean does the same thing. Doug Stanhope is another one who tells great stories. But yeah, I really like #1, Sean Patton. That was dope. It's on Peacock, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it went there, but yeah, we went to Peacock.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yep.
There's so many streaming services.
I mean, there's just so many specials coming out. It's hard to keep up now. I'm like, oh, is one on YouTube? Joe List has one on YouTube. And I know Bobby Lee just recorded one here in town. It's about time. So, yeah, I love it. That's the thing. Like, when and so are you, I would think, like, when you're passionate about something, you're trying to know everything about it. So you're trying to stay on the pulse of like, oh, there's that going on, this guy's doing this guy's doing that. And I just love doing it, just like I did when it was about nightlife. Just now I'm old, so I can't I still do keep up as much as I can.
Yeah. What do you think about our comedy scene?
Oh really? Do you ask that to everybody?
No, I'm only going to ask you because you're
I'm getting in trouble.
I'm
trying to get booked right now. You're trying to get me in trouble? No. Here's my take. I think there's no stopping it. I think that I love the decentralized. What I mean by decentralized is that comics produce their own shows all over town, from San Marcos all the way to Temple.
Yeah.
And which is great. So that means that's more stage time, that's more opportunity. And every mic I go to, I run into somebody who's like, yeah, I just got here last week. I got here yesterday from wherever. And I'm like, yeah, you're in the right place. I mean, this is it. And it's gonna, and then of course with Rogan being here, his club's gonna open in a few months. We'll have like between Creek, Vulcan, Mothership, that's the name of this thing, Comedy Mothership, Velveeta Room, Sunset's coming back where Parish is, or something like that. Where Parish was, something like that. So you'll have a whole strip of clubs right then and there. I think that people in Austin are still getting used to it, because like I think comedy is going to be bigger than music, like what Austin is known for.
Yeah,
I really think so.
Yeah.
If you've been in Austin long enough, you know that the music scene has really kind of died down a lot, especially with COVID, where a lot of venues shut down because they couldn't keep up. Musicians can't afford to even live in Austin anymore. So, and meanwhile, people are coming here and they go, oh yeah, there's all these comedy shows and there's all these comedy venues, comedy clubs. So let's go to a comedy club. And so slowly, I think the market will react to that. And then Austin is going to become this hub because so now it's like, well, we got Cap City with Just for Laughs. I mean Helium, Moon Tower with Just for Laughs. Next you'll have all the industry is going to will have a presence here if it's not here yet, and if you're out there as a touring comic and you don't make a stop in Austin twice a year, then you might be missing out.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going. As far as the comedians coming, people will bitch about it and say old guard this and new guard fuck that. This is what I mean by ego. This is what it's like. You're trying to grow and thrive in an ecosystem that's built on individuals, not groups, not cliques, not. It's literally everybody is trying to make it in their own way, whether they host their own shows, or they hit mics all the time, or they run their own mics, or they get on stage on each other's shows. There's a lot of that going on, which is fine. Yeah. But I think there's going to be room for everybody to contribute something. All I'm asking is, like, leave your ego at home or in the car if you live in a car. It's like it's too important and too, like, I love this too much to let anybody just claim it or be, I'm a gatekeeper now. So now I'm like, oh no, you can't come on my show because you're cool with so and so. I'm like, this and like, we're not in high school no more. You know what I mean? It's like, grow the fuck up. And maybe that's me because I'm older. I'm an adult. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't have time for that, and I don't think anybody does. Yeah. And when I see people doing great things, people like Brandon Lewin over at Big Laugh, shout out to Rebecca, and everybody's trying to play a part. Now, figure out what your part is going to be, and just be humble every once in a while, and come at people in a genuine way instead of like walking around like your shit don't stink. You know what I mean? And I have a pet peeve, and I brought this up on my podcast before, where it is a community, and I love it. And I can't say that I know everybody or I claim to be somebody. I'm not even on that level. People walk up to you like, oh man, I've seen, love this, what you're doing with the podcast and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool, thank you, I appreciate that. And then, then we talk or whatever. But I think that my pet peeve is when you meet somebody 3 times, more than 3 times, like you introduce yourself. And I've literally, hey, how you doing? I'm back, and you're whatever, 3 times, and you still act like I don't exist. I can't stand that shit. Yeah, that I'm like, no, because that tells me that 1, you don't give a fuck. 2, that you're walking around like you're better than me, and I'm like, because I grew up, with my African culture / French, just like it's a big deal to be like, hey, I acknowledge you. I walk into a room, you're already there. I'm going to walk up to you and say, hey, how you doing? Give you a dap, whatever. But if I've met you 3 times and you still act like you don't know me, even though every time I'm the one who came up and said, hey, what's up? How you been? And when's your next show and all that? Nah. Yeah. I ain't having that. I ain't got time for that. So that's the comedy scene. That's my answer in a huge nutshell. I fill that shell up.
Yeah, that was a big shell.
Yes.
Well, it's a big scene. It's evolving and changing and growing.
What's your take?
My take. Well,
it's your show.
Yeah, I know, but I don't use my podcast that way necessarily, but I'll
to share your views.
Yeah.
What is this? No. Do you run this show or what?
I know. Maybe that's why I have 3 listeners. No, I'm sorry. I love you, all my listeners.
I have 1.
No, this episode is going to come out in January of 2023, and the Austin Chronicle asked me to write a top 10 comedy news stories. So knock on wood, I don't get a lot of hate mail for my hot takes.
You know what? That's the thing. If you rub someone the wrong way, in whatever you put out, you feel like, oh, if I say this, such and such is going to react like. You can give them a heads up, and maybe down the road they go, hey man, this is, that wasn't cool. What I don't like is when people lash out in the public space.
Yeah.
What I mean by public space is really on social media.
Yeah.
Like there's a comment that someone start like talking shit, and then go back and forth, and then you're like, why do you do that? Why? That's one phone call. If you don't have the number, it's like, hey, next time I see you at the mic, let's hash it out.
Yeah.
I don't have time for beefing or talking shit. It's pointless.
Yeah.
No.
Well, my bold claim is that Austin is now the third coast of comedy. We're just we're the dominant third scene. We may be butting up against an LA or I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever, because LA and New York are so unique in the industry that they have there.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it's going to take the industry to be here permanently in order to really cement.
True, but what will be different about here is that in LA the industry was already there.
Right.
So it's always been there. So you have to work around the industry to make it. New York was the same way. When you have institutions like SNL and late night and Sirius XM, like it's there. It already exists. So, but because it's such a big city, you could do like five mics or five sets in one night, right?
Yeah.
The difference about Austin, what makes Austin unique, is that the scene was built before the industry showed up. It wasn't the other way around, like the other big cities. So if the industry comes here, it'd be like, okay, you're not dictating how shit works.
True.
We're going to tell you how it works.
Yeah.
And because the people who have established a presence here already are running it that way, with that in mind, like, hey, I'm doing this for the comedy scene, not for Netflix, not for, YouTube or whoever.
Yeah.
Right. I hope that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I really do, because it could quickly shift. We have all the big tech companies here. They can, cash in on this thing.
Yeah.
And then sure. But don't mess it up for everybody. I mean, Moon Tower, and I love all the people at Moon Tower. Shout out to Scott and Lisa. But they're going to turn more into hey, we're going to have premieres, that kind of thing. And now they stretch it to 10 days. So now it's headliners. And you have the comedy club thing for like 4 days or whatever. And so it's and the people who come here, they won't necessarily, talking about Moon Tower, they'll come because, there's this such and such headliner that I want to see. It won't be let me check out all 70 or 100 or whatever comics. And the industry, they're trying to make the industry come here. I know it's gonna happen, but there's no stopping it.
Right.
Just find, get in where you fit in, and just don't be a dick about it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. People make it way more complicated than it needs to be. But if you love this thing, and whether you're doing it for fun or you're doing it like to really make it happen, and you're young, you got a lot of energy and everything, just do you, and treat people like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You can play the graduation music now. That was my TED Talk. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Well, we're going to start winding down. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want people to know about you?
Wow. Where do I start?
What's the wow? That we're winding down, or that?
No, there's so much about me. I just told you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm playing video games right now. I'm watching anime. I mean, I'm decorating my new home. What am I not doing? I'm going to Africa next week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I haven't been in 10 years.
Oh wow.
And I have cousins I don't know
Wow.
that I haven't met, and I'm really excited to go back home. And I'll say this: if you get the chance, I'm big on. How can I put this? Learning about other perspectives and cultures. I think that we tend to associate ourselves with people like us. And I think that people need to make an effort to get to know people who have nothing to do with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And if you can't travel, I mean, short of like, oh, let's go to Europe, go to Africa, go to Asia, trying to get some perspective and maybe material out of it too.
Yeah.
But short of that, meet interesting people. I think we're lucky in Austin that it's not Texas. I'm lucky I landed here. I tell you that, man.
Yeah.
I would have been miserable. And no offense, San Antonio, Dallas. I'm glad I landed here, 20 some years ago, because I was like, wow, this place. Because I thought, of course, my reference when it came to Texas was Walker Texas Ranger, because we had it in France. We had the show in France. So I was like, oh, Chuck Norris, yeah, Cowboys, in deserts. And then everybody probably thinks the same way. And then you come here and you go, oh, shit, there's some interesting ass people here. There's a dude who has a goatee, but he's shaved like vertically. It's weird. And there's this dude who walks around 6 feet in a thong.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of interesting people. And that I think their story needs to be heard. And people tend to stick to their bubble, especially coming out of the pandemic. It's like, yeah, you had your cluster or whatever you want to call it for 2 years. And now the world is open back up, I guess. And so people still wearing masks, but yeah, welcome. People still getting COVID. My brother got COVID right now. I'm
my
like,
gosh.
second time? Really?
Wow.
I didn't mean to air him out, but just now's the best time to connect with folks. We need more. I'm sounding like a TED Talk again.
TED Talk Part 2.
No. Okay. Yes, me. This is what happens. I start rambling and I start talking about things that actually matters. Don't be afraid. Walk up to a stranger, say hi, buy him a drink, and don't ask for anything in return. Just the only thing you're asking is to talk, to share your opinion. And when you put things in a oh man, I'm about to
TED Talk Part 2.
Are you sure? I can go on and on. This is your show. I don't know what you got to do later today.
I'll stop you when it's time.
Oh, but don't stop me in the middle of it.
I won't.
Stop. All right, we're done. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in, Comedy Wham. I forgot what I was going. Shit. Yes. There is when people have conversation. I think everybody now is like, "Oh, we need to have a conversation about blank," right? We need to. I think people tend to put things in the right or wrong dichotomy a lot, which ruins the conversation.
Yeah.
Where you're just sharing ideas, and I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to say like if I told you, oh, you should check out this comedian's special, and you just go, oh well, that's not actually bad example. Oh, here we go. When you ask an actor, hey, I need you to play a gay guy in a movie. Mm-hmm. He's not gonna go, I'm not gay. I can't do that. No, I'm not gay. I'm not gonna. Mm-hmm. No, we're not asking. We're just asking you to put yourself in the shoes of a gay man for this movie.
Yeah.
It's literally putting on a different hat and trying to understand from someone else's perspective. Yeah. That's all we're trying to do. We're not asking you about your morals. We're not questioning, what you believe in, would just want you to kind of make an abstraction of who you are and try to understand someone else's point of view. And I think that if more people did that, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
It really would, because everything, when people get mad on social media, I'm not I know I need to do more like Instagram stuff. It's a to do. It's annoying. I hate it, honestly. I wish I could pay someone to do it, maybe, but and when people say we need to have a conversation about blank, and it happens on Twitter or on Instagram or in DMs or in YouTube comments, it sucks. It sucks because it's not real, and people tend to. You see the worst in people in that situation.
Yeah.
As opposed to, if I saw you face to face, you probably wouldn't talk like that to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's weird because everybody's trying to be funny. You notice that?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to be funny. It's like you can look at a puppy video on YouTube and look at the comments, and it's everybody's trying to have the wittiest comment or comment of a comment that talks shit about the other guy who started the thread, and you're like, this is actually cool because it's another form of comedy. Memes are another form of comedy, and that's fine, but you have to put everything in context where, yeah, you probably wouldn't say that if that person was in front of you. But just because you're trying to be witty, you're trying to be, I don't know, it's kind of a weird world we live in with all this digital shit, and then people just hide, as opposed to, because I know people who are funny online and you meet them in person and they're dull as hell. I'm serious, and I'm like, okay, I'll just read your comments on Facebook. We're not going to lunch. That's all. I mean, I have hope, I guess.
Yeah. Instead of this comment may violate community guidelines, it should be, would you say this if you were face to face across, the table to this person?
I mean, it really comes down to would you want to be treated this way?
Yeah.
That's it. You have a point to make? Sure, make your point. On the other side, it's like, well, I have the right to feel this. You have every right to feel whatever way. You have the right to say whatever you want to say. This is a free country. I hate saying cliche things like that because I'm American now, but it's like, I still I'm still French and African. But it's a free country. So you can say whatever you want. There's consequences.
Yeah.
And fuck around and found out.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Okay. Well, before
listen to my TED Talk.
Yeah, before TED Talk number 4 starts up.
No.
Or 5 starts up.
You asked me.
I know.
You walked into that one. I'm blaming you.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Well, I know you can't do it on this one, so I'm going to ask you my final question. And that is one word to describe your future.
Oh, man, what the? Whoa. One word to describe my future. It's going to sound cliche, but screw it. I would say love. I think that I'm finally at a point now where everything I'm doing, I truly enjoy. One, and really part one, my son. And just watching a human being grow is amazing. You should try it, folks.
It's cool.
Make babies. Interracial ones, too. Those are the best. No, just watching that and it, the idea that you can like mold this human being, and then they go to bed and they have a firmware update, and you wake up the next day and then they come up with stuff, and you're like, wow, and you went through it, but you just don't remember. So that the comedy, I honestly don't know where it's gonna take me. I don't have a set people like, oh, I got to record a special. I want to, be touring the country. I don't have those like huge goals in it. I love it, period. And so whatever shape that takes, I'm fine with. Podcasts I still love. I love doing it. I don't have no Patreon. I ain't got no sponsors. I barely market it. I have tons of. By the way, there's a YouTube channel for the feedback, so you can see faces of the people I've been talking to. I purely just love the connection, and I love sharing, and I want to say I love people, but that's weird. I love people on an individual basis, and with 2 years of pandemic, plus I went through separation, and you realize that we're not meant to be alone. And you can text all you want, you can comment all you want, you can DM all you want. It will never replace what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm big on that. And I love my job. I'll say that. It can get annoying, but I do love my job. So yeah, I think and I love seeing people have a good time. That's always been something. When I started Feedback and I was throwing parties, of course you're a producer, so you're running left and right, but you're seeing people having a good time, smile on their face, dancing their asses off, singing their asses off, and that's what I love to do. I'm a giver. I can't help it. If I can help in any way, if I can make somebody's day brighter, if I can listen when someone wants to rant about some shit, I can't help it. That's something I love. I love doing. So yeah, that's my future. Did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. TED Talk number 5. Yes. Oui, les amis.
Yay. That is a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents Back. Tell us where we can find you on social media and promote your projects.
Yes, so the Feedback, that's my Instagram, Feedback BAK, because that's my name. And follow Record Play Live on Instagram as well. I haven't announced the next, actually by the time this comes out, I'll have a date for the next Record Play. Okay. R&B edition.
Ooh,
yeah,
fun.
That'll be fun. And I really want to. And the podcast, of course, wherever you listen to podcasts, follow the Feedback. Go listen to Revenge Driven in the loop. And I've had a lot of people. So here's the thing: you can go all the way back to the archives where it was all about nightlife. If you're new in Austin or you want to know more about what Austin was, go to the archive. I talked to people like DJ Mel, Chicken George. I had the mayor on before Rogan did it. So many people who made Austin what it is. I do want to give a special shout out to everybody who's been contributing to the scene. So shout out to you for holding it down. Shout out to Tracy. Shout out to Rebecca. Shout out to Brandon. I think that there's a lot going on. It could get messy, but I think we can really make something happen in the city, and I'm glad to be a part of it. That's what I'm about. I'm back, bitches.
We hope you've enjoyed learning about how Bat got to be the comedic genius that you heard today, just as much as I have.
Genius? Holy shit! Wow, wow, Valerie.
This is
great intro, but holy one-word outro. I love it. I love it.
This has been Comedy Wham Presents Back. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Back.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best.